And one more thing, guys. I will start the new batch of performance testing, right? So demo class would be on 14th or 15th, right? If any of your friend want to attend the performance testing class, or any of your colleague and friend, then please let me know. Okay. So timing would be different. 9:30 to 11:30 IST time. 9:30 to 11:30 it's IST time. Okay. Okay, so I have shared my screen, and yeah, let me delete all the timers here. Give me a second. Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, Vikas.
Okay, fine, thank you. So yeah, I think in tomorrow class we have one topic was pending in the config element, right? So let's try to discuss that thing. Okay. So uh, yeah, the sharing mode was I have not discussed. The time was over, so because of that I could not discuss the sharing mode. Okay, let's try to discuss the sharing mode. What did you mean by the sharing mode? Okay, so by default the sharing mode would be all thread. Okay, by default would be the all thread. Okay, so what exactly means if I select all thread here? Okay, so let's try to set number of thread as 3 users. Number of thread is 3 users, and let me disable the other call. Let me make only one call enable, that is create the user. Create the user. Okay, and let's refresh this thing and try to run. Okay. Before that, I want to show you that file. So I have changed the Excel CSV file into the Notepad actually here. So using the Notepad, you can also, create the variable and assign the value. I will explain you how you can. Okay. So right now you can see I am using username and the email ID. These two are variable which I am using, and inside that I'm passing the multiple value, like the first username is Vikas123 and the email ID is Vikas1 at the rate. Second one is Rahul1556. The third one is test1, and fourth one is the test2. Okay, so this is your file, right? And you in the CSV dataset config, you have uploaded that file where it is new text document here. This one you have uploaded this file here. Okay, and you have selected the option. Okay, so by default you can see all thread will be selected here. So what exactly the meaning of all thread? We have already discussed stop thread, recycle, all code data, right? So we can discuss the sharing mode. So all thread means here you have selected 3, right? And we have one request, create user, and we are using the username and the email ID, right? And let's try to run. So it get executed, right? So guys, what username and the email ID it's picked up? This one, right? The first data, right? For the first thread, correct?
Yes.
So it's
Now
picking up from the CSV file or Excel file?
it picking up from the text file, tst file. I
Okay.
have changed the here, you can say tst here. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so where I was yeah. So you can see it here. Let me go to the view result tree. So can you see, guys, the benefit of view result tree? Anyone can say me what is the benefit of view result tree, listener? Why it is added?
we can it can visualize the consolidated data of the test result.
So whatever the body header response you are getting from the server using view result tree, you can see it. Okay, if you go to the request, you can see what are the request body, what is the URL, what header we are using, and what response data we are getting. If you look at some other listener, right, it will know, so it will not show that result. It will only show you the accumulated result. Agree? Right?
Can you
Yes,
explain?
yes,
Can you
So
explain again?
that is the benefit of view result tree. Okay, so you can see it here. This is the first user. Now moving to the second user. What is the data? Rahul, and Rahul 556, the email ID. Can you see the data? It is at the second position, right? And the third thread is test1 and test1 at the rate gmail.com. You can see the third user ID. So what it exactly means? So every thread will pick the data. The first thread will pick the data from first position. The second one will pick the data from the second one, and third one pick the data from the third one. So that is the meaning of all thread. So whatever the thread we have added, all thread can use this CSV data value. All thread can use this CSV data value. The first thread will pick the first user, second thread will pick the second user, third thread will pick the third user. Okay, so if I change this thing as a uh, current thread, there are four values are there. Okay, all thread. The screen is visible to everyone. I joined almost. Guys, can you see my screen?
yes, Vikash, we can see.
Yes,
I
yes.
think Bipin, you can see the name here, right? So you can click on my icon, and then you can see my screen, right? If you click on my icon, you can see my screen. Then here at the top, you will see the different person icon. So you have to click on my icon, and then you can see. Otherwise, you can rejoin, and then you can see. Okay. So 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 yeah, coming to the next part, uh, current thread. Guys, I request you all, please do the practice. Without doing practice, performance testing is totally waste. Totally waste. Because everything in performance testing is the component. Everything is the component, right? So that's why try to understand each and every component which I will explain you, or which I have already explained you. Okay, so all thread is clear. Now moving to the current thread, let's see what happened if I select the current thread, and let's try to execute. Okay, I have added three users, three thread group here, and you can see the data. Vikas 123. So this is the first user data, right? And moving to the second one, can you see the second thread is also picking up the first user, and the third user is also picking up the first user. Okay, so if you select the current thread in this option, right, in the drop down, what happened? All the thread which I have added, it will pick the first value. All thread will pick up the first value. Okay, in the previous case, if I select all thread, all thread, then what exactly means? If I added 3 and there are 3 users here, users and email ID, the first user will pick first one, second user will pick second one, and third user will pick third one. Okay, in the case of all current thread, right? So all the thread users, right, picked up the first user only, which you can see here in the data. Vikas and email ID, Vikas and email ID, and Vikas and email ID. Okay, so we will discuss this thing when we start writing the script, when we start implementing the scenario, right? So at that time, you have to remember all the things so that you can create the scenario. Like in the real time, you will get the scenario something like all the users should have to pick same value. So in that scenario, this particular option will work or not? Current thread. Tell me. Let's suppose I have added 100 user and the scenario you want to execute that all the 100 user should have to pick the same value. So in that case, tell me, this scenario will work or not?
Yes, it will work over there.
Right? So that's why if you don't not aware about the component, when you start writing the script, when we start implementing the scenario, if you don't remember, you can't apply the scenario. Okay, that's why component is very important. It's an every component you know it is set in your mind. When you writing the scenario, you will quickly apply. Okay, and we have one more option, current thread group. Current thread group means, let's suppose current thread group means if we have added multiple thread group. Okay, let's suppose I'm adding one more thread group inside the test plan. I have added one more thread group, and inside that I am moving this users. I have moved this user, and let me add one listener here, view result tree. Okay, so I have created the user here, and I have two users, two thread group. This is one thread group and this is one thread group. Okay, and here I am applying 3. Here I am applying 3. Okay, so let's try to understand. Let's give some name as a second group, something like that. You can give the name and try to execute. Okay, and here you can see it here. This is for the second thread group result. Okay, you can see it here, right? If you go here and what's the data is here? Username, what value I have selected here? User thread group. Okay, user thread group I have selected, and okay, it is inside this thread group. Okay, I have to move these things at the global level, actually here at the global level. Okay, and then let me apply. Now you can see in the second thread group, first user picked up the first data, second user picked up the second data, third user picked up the third data. Okay, and here also in the first thread group, here you can see first user will take up first data, second user will take up the second data, third user will take up the third data. So if you select the CSV data as a current thread group, whatever the thread group we have added inside the test plan, right? So each thread will pick the data from the first position, from top to bottom. Okay, you can see I have two thread group and the thread group 2, right? And inside this thread group I have added this particular request. Okay, so when the execution will start, this particular username and email ID will pick up the first data, and second user will pick up the second data, third user will pick up this third data, right? And for the similarly, and it will also applicable for the second thread group. Okay, so first user will pick up the first data, second user will pick up the second, and third will pick up the third. Okay.
When will we go for such a thread, such groups, Vikas?
Sorry, come again.
When will we go for such a scenario?
We will go such type of scenario. Let's suppose we have multiple module in your in your application. For the couple of module, in both the module the data is same, right? Let's suppose we have flight module. Let's suppose let me go to the Google Chrome. Make my trip. So let's suppose you are doing the performance testing of Make My Trip, and you have the multiple modules which you have to test, like flight, hotels, villas, holiday, trains, buses, right? So let's suppose flight and hotels, right? So I want to book the flight, right? So you have to enter the user's credential, like the first name, last name, email ID, and phone number, right? And for the same user, you want to book the hotel also. For the same user, you want to book the hotel also. For the flight, you are taking the data from this TST file, right? And when you use the hotel and you want to use whoever taken the flight, right? For the same user, you want to book the hotel. So can I use the same CSV file or not?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case you don't have to use the multiple CSV file here for this particular thread group.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so this thing is done, and let me show you one more thing. In yesterday class we have created the CSV file using the Microsoft Office Point, right? Using the Microsoft Excel. I have converted the Microsoft Excel into the CSV, right? And the extension of this file is CSV. You can see it here. If I go to the property, and can you see it here, comma separated value, right? So we have used yesterday CSV file, right? Now you can also use text file also. Text file, right? Here you can see, simply go and create the text file and you can use. Okay, so let me explain you. I have already created this text file. Same here. In the Excel, we have row and column. We have the table, right? Right, guys? We have the row and the column. We have the, in tabular form, right? Correct. But here we have plain text. Okay. So what you can do, you have to define the variable name, username, and similarly we are doing the same here also. Can you see it here also? We are doing the same stuff or not in the Excel file, right? Username and the email, same you are doing here also, username and the email, right? Here you can see I have passed the username also and email ID. Here you have passed the username and the email ID, and here we have tabular form, right? But here we have to differentiate the thing. So how we can differentiate? Using the comma. Using the comma, you can separate the thing. Using the comma, I have separated the thing. Okay, so you can also use the tst file. Okay, and file encoding is one option. Generally, we are not selecting in the real time. We'll leave it as a blank. We'll leave it as a blank, but sometime you can see, if I go here, you can see different options are there. UTF-8, UTF-16, ISO, US ASCII edit. You can see. So this exactly means when we are creating the file, you can see the file encoding is UTF-8 here at the bottom. So in that case, you can select the UTF-8. Generally, we are making as a blank. Okay, so this will, whatever the file you are using and what is the file encoding extension, you have to use that value here. So if I am creating any Excel file, let's say I'm trying to create any Excel, text document, right? If I open this thing, you can see it is UTF-8, right? So you can select this value here. And I would recommend, do not change this value. Leave it as a blank. Leave it as a blank. Okay. Now, this value I want to explain you. Yesterday I have not explained this thing. Delimiter use, right? Comma I have passed here. So you can see it here. What separator I have used here? Comma. Right? So that's why each value is separated by comma. We are asking to the CSV dataset config. Each value is separated by the comma, right? If this value is separated by the colon, right? If you created the file where we have used the colon like that, not use the comma, not use the comma, let me save this file. And what you have to mention here, you have to mention the colon. Because in every project, the way of creating the file is different. Okay, let's suppose in your company you are using comma, delimiter as a comma, right? But in my company they are using semicolon to separate the key and value. Okay, so if you are using column, then you have to pass that thing here. Okay, and let's try to run this thing and let's see it I'm able to execute or not. Can you see it here? It's taking the value. It's working. Okay, let's suppose here you can see one more option they have given, where it is here. Use /t for tab. So what exactly means? So that means in some of the person creating their file using the tab, giving the separator as a tab, like that. They are not using comma and semicolon. They are using the tab, the keyboard tab. You can see on the left hand side in the keyboard, right? So you can see the tab button. So they are using the tab here to specify the key and value. Okay, let's try to save. So in that case, here you have to pass /t. Okay, and let's try to execute. Let's see, this thing is working. I'm able to get the data. Okay, so depends on the file, you can use the delimiter and you can change the value If you are using comma, then you have to pass their comma. If you are using colon, semicolon, then you have to use semicolon. If you are using tab, then you have to also mention tab there. Okay, so now we have some other config element. If I go here, we have multiple config element. Okay, but right now we are not going to discuss other, because this four we are using CSV, header, and request and user define, which we will use 90%. Yeah, I will also explain you the other one, but when we will, based on the requirement we will use. But the motto behind, to explain the config element, so that you can understand what exactly, why we are using the config element. Okay, so when we use cookie, then we will use the cookie manager, and I will also explain the cookies stuff. Then cache, right? So I will also explain the cache. When we use file transfer, then we will use FTP. When we will use the authorization manager, then we will use this one. Okay, so based on the, when we use a particular scenario, and then I will explain that stuff. Okay, if I explain all the things, you will not grab the things. Okay, because currently we are using HTTP request. Okay, in HTTP request, these four things are important: user defined, header, and the request, and CSV dataset config. Okay, so one very important thing, one very important topic, that is the timer. Timer, what did you mean by the timer? Anyone can explain me what did you mean by the timer?
Because once again, before that, I just have one small doubt.
Yeah.
In that CSV thing, right? Because in all the column there is a field like edit.
Yeah, edit.
Yeah. So is that fields are editable and can we post that? Can you
Yeah, editable we can use in the coming class. When we use some more scenario, at that time we can, when we come to the correlation side, when we come to the automation side, when we create the dynamic data, at that time we will discuss the edit feature. So you can go here, and if you can see the value, so you can see edit here. Every drop down having the edit, right? So we can discuss this thing later on. So basically this value is basically custom value which you are passing. Okay, this is true or false is decided by whom? It is static, and this thing is dynamic which you will pass. Okay, so that we will discuss. Okay,
Okay, no problem.
now now tell me, what did you understand by the timer? Any guess, any idea? Timer.
Maybe like a wait time to specify a wait time.
So guys, one general question, I'm asking you, how regarding this topic, CSV dataset config, how you can parameterize the thing, parameterize the variable. If you want to use any variable, how you can use that variable? One interview question.
By using
One
user
interview
defined,
question. How did you use the variable? How you can use the variable?
by using the user defined variables.
Yeah, but how you can use the user defined variable? How did you use the user defined variable value?
With that dollar sign, right? This is calling the
Yes,
specified.
we have exactly, guys. I have explained the things, and you can see using the dollar and open curly bracket and close curly bracket, and this is the variable name. This is the syntax. What is the syntax? Let me close this thing. Do not say. That's why you need practice actually, guys. So this is the syntax to use any variable. explain this thing in the interview, they will directly reject you, because this thing you are frequently used in the emitter. Okay. Now, what did you mean by the timer? So guys, tell me one question. When I'm using the Make My Trip or any application, can all the user start using it the same time? Let's suppose we have 100 user, right? Is 100 user start using your application in the same time? Is this realistic scenario?
Could be also.
Why not? Why not? Because from different places people are accessing.
Okay, so yeah, in the same time we can start, but we have some time gap generally, like not more like 1 hour, 2 hour, half an hour, either a fraction of second, either you can say millisecond, like 10 millisecond, or 3 second, 2 second, 10 second. There is something time gap between one user to second user, and some user are hitting at the same time, right? Right, guys?
Yes, but there could be also the chances at the same time numbers of users are hitting same
Yeah,
point.
that could be also possible. That could be also possible. I do not deny that thing, right? But that is one more scenario, like every user having some time gap. Let's suppose I am hitting this Make My Trip and trying to book the flight, and you are hitting the after 3 seconds or 2 seconds. Okay. So in the when we are applying the performance testing, okay, depends on the client. If the client is asking you that please apply the load on the server 100 user or 200 user at a time simultaneously, apply, hit the user at a time, right? So you can apply that scenario. Okay. And sometimes your client is asking you that put the time gap of 3 seconds or 2 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds between one user to another user, between one scenario to another scenario. Okay, so in that case we can use the timer. In that case we can use the timer. Okay. One question I want to ask you, simple question. Let's forget about one user time gap. That is possible. That is possible, right? I am hitting at 12 o'clock 12 o'clock 10 minute, and you are also hitting this particular application 12 o'clock 10 minute, right? I'm giving you the another thing. When one user, let's suppose I am using the flight, I'm using the Make My Trip, I'm trying to book the flight. Okay, so can I complete all the scenario in 1 second? Like if I clicking on the search, so there is time gap between one scenario to the another scenario or not?
Yes, if done by the same person.
If done by the same person, right, there is time gap. Agree or not?
Yes.
Right. So it rarely possible, like there is no time gap between one scenario to the another scenario. Possible either millisecond or we have some time gap, right? Right. So in the same thing, same scenario, we have to create in our JMeter. Let's suppose when we click on the search, your search page get displayed, right? There is time gap of 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Then you are selecting any option. And again, you can see when I book, there is the time gap between one scenario to another scenario, one request to the another request, right? If I click on continue, then there is again time gap, right?
Yes.
Right. So in that case, you can use the timer. In
Means we
that
can say
case,
that
you can.
we can say that means the time gap between the request and the response, like that I can say, right?
Time gap between one request to the another request. Okay,
But
let's.
here,
Go ahead.
but here what we are doing means what you have shown to us, that means we clicked on something, means we requested for something to be happen on our page. So that is the, so in that time there is a gap. So that is the time gap. Or you mean to say the
Yeah,
request will be
when you get the response from the server, and that is the time gap. Like when we connect with the server, when you click on anything and when you get the successful response, right? When the page will get displayed successfully, the loading is get completed. That is the time gap.
yes, yes.
Right. So in JMeter, we have to do like that. Okay. So you can see I have multiple requests. Okay. We are not using this scenario. Let me disable this thing. Disable. And let me use where is our sign in? Yeah. Let me use this one. Okay. Let me enable this scenario. Enable. So let's suppose I open the Jetpack store, and when I open the Jetpack store, this, where is my Jetpack store? This URL. So I hitted this URL into the browser, right? And what I am doing here, I clicking on the sign in. When I click on the sign in, there is a time gap, and then your page will get displayed, right? And then you enter the credential, and then you again click on the login. Click on the login, right? So there is a time gap, right? So you want to put the time gap between one request to the another request, because in the real time, you can't complete all the scenario in the same time. Right. There is some time gap between one request to another request. Okay. So how you can, put the time gap between one request to another request. This is one request, Jetpack store, and click on the sign in, then enter the credential. Let's suppose I want to put the time gap between this request. How I can? So what you have to do, right click, add, and here you will see one option, timer. Okay, here you can put the constant timer. I have selected the constant timer, and you can see here you have the 3 field, right? Name is clear. You can put the name, whatever name you want to put, like time gap or whatever you want to put, you can put it here. If you want to add any comment, you can add the comment. And the thread delay means one request to the another request delay. Okay. So in millisecond, whatever the time you will mention here, it will consider as a millisecond. Okay. So I am putting 3000 millisecond. Let me convert millisecond into second. 3000 millisecond means 3 second guide. So is right, I have put the time gap of 3 seconds. Okay, and let's try to run. Let's try to. So guys, one more thing, when I run this thing, please keep the eye on the top here, where I'm scrolling my mouse at the right hand side. Keep the eye on this point, on this time. Okay, and I'm running this thing for the one user. Let's suppose for the one user, number of thread is 1. Let me clear and go to the view result tree and keep the eye here, right? I'm hitting this thing, so keep the eye there. Overwrite. Now you can see 1, 2, 3 data display. Have you noticed the first response? Here I have added constant timer, right? So when the first user will hit the, let's suppose I click on the green button. When I click on the green button, that it will wait for the 3 seconds, the time which I have mentioned here. Okay, after then the first user will hit the open jetpack store, and there is no time gap between other requests, so it will get completed back to back. There is no time gap. Okay, let's suppose I'm increasing the time gap as a 6 so that you can notice the thing, right? Please keep the eye here and in the view result table, right? Here you can keep the eye, and here in the data table. So I'm going to click on start. Now I have set the timer as a 6 second. Count 6 from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your data will get displayed here. Okay, let's try. Overwrite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see it here. Where gone data? Yeah, you can see. Sometime because of the network delay actually. And you can see the other data get displayed instantly. Have you noticed this thing?
Yes.
Okay, why it not get displayed at the 6? Because when it first wait for the 6 second, then it connect with the server and get the response. So it will also take time to connect with the server and get the response. So that's why it displayed the data, I think, in 8 seconds. Okay, again I'm doing the same thing, guys. Please keep the eye, because in performance testing there are very minor stuff which you have to notice. After then you will be a very good performance tester. Okay, if you don't know the concept of the component, you can't do that. Let me clear this thing, and again the timing is 6 here. Let me go here, view result tree, and clicking on the start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where is the data? Yeah, here you can see. Clear? Whatever the time you will mention here, it will wait for that particular time. Okay, now I'm putting the time in sign in. When I click on the sign in, when I enter the credential, I want to put some delay in sign in and the credential. Okay, so I will go to the timer, constant timer, and put the delay here as a 3 second, or let's put as a 6 second, because when when user click on the sign in, when he enter the username and password, at least he will take 3 to 4 seconds. Agree? To enter the username and the password, right?
Yes.
Right, so you can put the time gap here, like I'm putting the time gap here. It's up to you what time gap you can use. I'm putting the 6 second here. Okay, and you can see in the open Jetpack store, I have put the time gap, and in the sign in, I have put the time gap. Okay, now clear this thing, and 6 and 6 individually I have put it. So give me a second, do not start, go to view result tree and keep the eye here at the top, the timer, and start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data will get displayed. You can see now again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data get displayed, the second user. Now there is no time gap between third and fourth. Clear? Now guys, I want to understand from you guys, I want to put the timer at this page when I enter the credential. So is this timer which I have put it here, is this correct timer? Like the scenario where I want to apply the timer, is this correct position?
Doesn't.
No.
So if I put the timer, then it will applicable for the current request, not for this request. Agree?
Yes.
Okay. So here at the enter the credential, I am putting the username and the password, right? So I have to put the timer here. So I will move this timer here. If you want to put the timer here also, in sign in, you can also put it here. Or it depends on you how you are creating the scenario, how you are designing. Okay, so I put the timer here in the enter credential. Now let's try to run. Override, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First data displayed. It's taking time actually. Yeah, you can see because it's getting the response from the server, that's why. But there is time gap. Okay, and second will get displayed, and the third will get displayed after. It will wait for 6 seconds, and you can see the third data will get displayed. Actually at my side heavy rain is going on, so network is poor, so that's why it's taking time to display here, connect with the server. Are you also facing the issue? My voice is clear, guys?
To me, it doesn't appear.
For same for everyone?
It's clear, Vikash. No problem.
No,
Christian,
I'm getting it.
I think some issue at your end, I think, because everyone getting the clear noise. Clear. So what I will do, so it's clear, right? Constant timer is clear. So one more thing. Let's suppose
Why the last two didn't have the duration? Even though we used a constant timer, the last two didn't have the same amount of time.
come again, ma'am. Come again.
The first had the 6 seconds, second had the 6 seconds, and then the last two immediately it came, right? Why is that?
Okay, give me a second. Let me open my notepad. So we have three scenarios. Open the Jetpack store. This is your first scenario, and this is the second scenario. Click on sign in. So click on sign in. This is your second scenario, and third request is enter the credential. Okay, this is the third one, and the fourth one is home page. Okay, this is the fourth, right? So I put the constant time here at this level as a 6 second, and here as a 6 second, here as a 6 second. Okay, let me remove from here and put it here. And let me remove from here. Okay, what happened? When I click on the green button, when you start executing your scenario, the first user, let's suppose you have added Rahul. Guys, you can mute. You have added Rahul. Okay, Rahul, when I start the scenario, executing the scenario, Rahul will wait for 6 seconds first. And then after waiting the 6 seconds, he will hit the Jetpack store request, right? After hitting the Jetpack store, so tell me, the request will connect with the server. Then server will check the request. Then it will, connect with the database or whatever the internal designing, right? They will connect with them, right? And then they will give you the response, right? So yes, it will connect in 5 after 5 seconds, but to give the response, it will also take some time. Agree or not? Like 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. We don't know the server response.
Correct.
Right?
True.
So that's why you can, if I go here, sometime it displaying in 6 second or 7 second. So that is the reason behind that. Sometimes you will get instantly, sometime it will take 7 seconds, sometime it will get 8 seconds, either 10 second also, or more than that. Either, but not less than 6 seconds. Agree?
Okay. But the second one, wherein you
Not less
have
than 6 seconds. Now come to the second one. When the open pat store, you will get the response. There is no time gap here. I have put no time gap. So it will instantly call and it will connect with the server and give you the response. So how many response time it, that time only it will take, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, or 1 second. That time only it will take. Then again it will wait for, after hitting the sign in, again it will wait for 6 seconds. And then after 6 seconds, this particular request will connect with the server and give you the response. After that, instantly, like it will not put any delay and connect with the server and give you the response. Okay, let's try to again do it. So you can see 6 seconds I have put for the first scenario. In the second scenario, there is no time gap. In the third scenario, enter the credential, there is 6 seconds. In the fourth scenario, there is no time gap. Okay, so let's try to execute. You can see it here, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now anytime data will get displayed. Anytime.
Vikash, when I run, the time it doesn't appear.
Give me a second. You can see here. Now second call will hit it. Click on sign in. You can see second call. Right? Now it will take 6 second delay. And then it will display the third. And then it will display the next one. Okay?
Yeah, got it.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
When I run, the time it doesn't appear in view results.
Here you are trying to ask in this table.
Yes.
You have to use view result table, sir.
View result table or view result table. It doesn't appear nothing.
Actually, I think you have added this listener, I think outside the thread group or something. If you add inside the thread group, it will definitely display. You can check the hierarchy actually. You have added
Inside,
at the correct position or not.
It is correct position, yes.
Can you share your screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
What, where is the share screen?
Please share your.
So,
Okay, give me a second, sir. Give me a second. First, let's try to check. Collapse the login. Collapse the login. Yeah, sir, you are doing the practice at least. I can see the hierarchy. Yeah, great, sir. Collapse this hierarchy. Collapse the arrow icon you can see. No, simply collapse this thing. Yeah, collapse icon. Yeah, and collapse the users also, the top one. Yeah, and collapse the thread group. Okay, it is inside the thread group. Expand the thread group. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Okay. Now, not try to call. Not try to call. Sir, nothing is happening here. Go to the view result tree. View result tree. Yeah, nothing is happening here. Your execution is not started. You can see here, still it is in the green color. Something you are doing mistake. Go to the login. Go to the login. Can you go to the thread group? Thread group.
Because timer has also not started.
Okay, number of thread is. Can you go to the timer? Okay, timer you have put. Okay, 3 second it is. No problem. 3 second. 3 second, like 3 millisecond actually. 300 milli. It's very less timer. So, what mistake you are doing?
yesterday was working.
There are disabled users, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's disabled. Users is disable. Login. It is enable or disable. Right click.
Login
Right
it's
click. It is enable. Enable. It is. You can say enable. It is enable. No problem. Give me a second, sir. Give me a second. Sir, move the sign out. Sorry.
If he is using header manager, HTTP header manager, then is it necessarily needed to give the request URL again in the open jetpad store? You can see there pets2 dot. The URL is given there, and also it would be there in the request header manager, right?
Guys, could you please help Christian? I will come back in 1 minute. I have one urgent emergency. You can try to resolve the Christian issue. I will come back in 1 minute. Do not leave the class. I will come back in 1 minute. Okay? 1 minute. Try to resolve the Christian issue. Yeah.
so I will disable this and this and this.
Yeah, try to do that. Yeah, let's run once. Let's see. Is it not showing any error as well?
No. I don't know.
How many threads have you added there?
Oh, okay. Now I think it will work. But in the enter credential here, timer, constant timer. Yeah.
You can enable the header manager now. I guess it will work.
Yes. Work.
Yeah, it's a header manager under thread group.
What was the issue?
CSV dataset config was there, but I think we had not added the any file over there, I guess. Christian, can you go to that CSV dataset config once?
Uh,
The
can
top
you?
one, the top one. CSV dataset config. Click on CSV dataset config. Under test plan, yes. Here have you added any file?
It is disabled.
And due to disabling of that only it worked, right?
When I disable worked. When it's enabled, doesn't work.
No, you have not added any file over there. Means I think it has not been used at anywhere. I guess due to that it was not working. If you'll pass any file over there, if you'll browse the file over there and from that file, if you'll pass the key at anywhere, if you'll use that, then definitely it will work because it's working for me as well.
It work for you when you have enable here.
Yes.
Enable, but give the file.
Give the
CSV
file and
file.
also, yeah.
I haven't the file on the Excel. I haven't.
Now you enable the HTTP header manager. This should work. Enable that. Yeah, let's run once. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, but I have not. I haven't the timer here.
No, it was coming right. clean it once, and you run it.
It get resolved, guys.
Yes, but I have I have this is the timer here, no?
Yeah.
9 seconds.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Actually, what happened? My younger uncle is suffering from the blood cancer, so he is going for bone marrow transplant. So that's why I go to go to meet him. Yeah. Anyway, let me share my screen. Mm, mm, where I was? Yeah. So one more thing I want to discuss with you. So we have added the constant timer, right? Now what we can do? Uh, let's suppose if I add the constant timer, add the constant timer at the parent level, 3 seconds. Then you guys tell me.
Yes, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
This running of this login has nothing to do with the CSV data config set, right? This is a separate timer we are using. This has nothing to do with the data set config, isn't it? Or is this connected?
Which dataset config, man?
CSV dataset config.
Yeah.
That is nothing to do with what we are running JPEG store now.
No. No. There is not any relation. Actually, I am not using this variable. Actually, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
If you use this one, where it is the users. Okay. So in that case, it is useful because we are using the variable. Okay.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. So if I add the timer at the at the controller level, you can see here I have added one timer. Can you see it here at the same hierarchy at the controller level, right? And put the 3000 millisecond. Then what exactly means? Hello. Guys, till now you can do the practice. I will come back in again 1 minute. Actually, my brother forget his wallet, so I have to give him. I will come back in a couple of minutes. Okay. So you can go and create all the hierarchy, and if you have any query, then you can discuss in between you. Okay. I will come back in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay.
So guys, have you a link with Microsoft Office to download?
Sorry, Christian.
You have a link with Microsoft Office because I can't find anything. It's to pay.
I'm not actually. I don't have idea. Means for the Excel, for accessing Excel, I'll talk about that.
You can hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
I'll talk about Excel.
Excel.
Yeah, for setting up data.
Yes, but for Excel, you need to download Microsoft Office because it is encapsulated.
Yeah.
But I can find it only to pay.
Premium.
Sorry guys, today I'm taking the time gap. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So guys, everyone can hear me? Is there?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry guys, really sorry actually. Some emergency was there. Yeah. So you can see it here. I have added the constant timer at the folder level, right? So what exactly means if I added this thing here? What exactly means actually? So it means that when I execute this thing, right? So this timer will applicable for all the request which is added inside the login. So the time gap of open the Jetpack store is 3 millisecond, 3 millisecond, sorry, 3 second plus plus 6 second, that is 9 second. So this request open Jetpack store will wait for 9 second. After that user will hit this request. Okay, for this one, so there is no any individual time gap, so the common time gap is 3 second. Okay, for this one, so so this will apply 3 second and 3 second and plus 6 second, total 9 second. Okay, so if I execute this thing, you can see it here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now data will display after the 9 second, right? So anytime data will get displayed, you can see. And for the second one, we have only 3 second, right? So it will not take much more time. Okay, you can see it here. And for the next request, it will again take 9 seconds, this 3 second and plus this 6 second, that is total 9 second. Okay, and for the last one, it will take only 3 second. which is common. Clear? Any question? So if you want to apply the common time gap, right? So you can also add this thing at the thread group level, at the simple controller level, so that it will applicable for all the requests which is added inside the particular controller or particular thread group. If I add this thing at the thread group level, right? So this particular timer will applicable for all the requests which is added inside the login, which is added inside the sign out, and which is added inside the user. So this will applicable for all. If I add this thread group here at the thread group level. Clear?
Because once again, can you repeat what happened if you add it in thread group level? It will be between the controller or again for each request?
So if I add this constant timer, there will be the constant time gap. Okay, the name itself say constant time gap, right? If I add this constant time gap at the thread group level, you can see it here. I have added at the thread group level. Okay, so what happened? It will applicable for all the request which is added inside the thread group. You can see there is time gap between 3 seconds with this true and this two, right? So it will applicable for all. Actually, this is the common time gap. Clear? If you are adding at parent level, if you are individually you are adding, then it will applicable for that particular one. Clear?
Okay.
Now we are
Because
sir.
one question, but already in thread group, what is it? In ramp up time, we have specified one thing, right? Anyway, it will calculate the ramp up time divided by number of users, and based on that only the consecutive request will operate,
A ramp up type is for the users actually, not for the request.
Oh, okay, I'm confused here. Got it.
Ramp up time is for the users actually. If you are adding here 10 users, so the time gap between the users actually, not the request.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yes, Dikash, I'm a bit confused here. Got it.
Yeah. Now we are moving to the next. The simpler, how you can add the constant timer. If you want to add at the thread group level, you can go to the timer and you can add constant timer. If you add inside the particular request, right click on add timer. If you add inside the controller, right click and add and timer. Clear? Okay, so now we are moving to the next one. I'm disable the, let me delete this thing and let me disable this timer. Where is the, let me disable this timer. I have disabled.
Because is there any way to specify time gap between only controller level, not on each request, only between the controller if I have to specify some time?
You want to specify like a controller level?
Yeah, I mean, for example, login controller should execute, and after that, after 3 seconds, next controller should execute.
I think no, madam. I think no. But we can create the scenario in different way. But guys, you can mute. Lot of background noise. So if you want to execute after, yeah, you can do it actually. It's up to you how you can apply the scenario. Let's try to do. So your scenario is you want to apply the timer the time gap between login and sign out is, let's suppose, 6 seconds. You want to apply, right? Not between the request, right?
Yes.
Right. So what you can do in the same way, if I put the timer here, let's suppose we have sign out, and we have inside the sign out, we have two requests. And here, if I add the timer, now if I adding the timer as a 6 second, now tell me what it exactly means. Tell me. So if I run this request, so login, open Jetpack store executed, there is no time gap. Sign in will executed, no time gap. Enter credential will executed, no time gap. Home page will executed, no time gap. Right now you can see I have added in the sign out in the this particular request. So it will wait for 6 seconds. Right. So there is time gap between login and sign out or not? Tell me, if I add the controller, if I add the timer here
Yes.
in the first request.
So because
Clear?
so because one thing means we got from here, that means the timer is the delay before execution of any request or at any control level or whatever. It's before, right? Not after.
Before the request.
Yes.
Time gap before executing your request.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now we are moving to the next one. Ma'am, you got your answer. How do you put the time gap between
Yes.
the controller?
Yes, speaker.
Okay.
I got it.
So like that, you can create the scenario. Okay. And now we are moving to the next timer. That is what is uniform random timer. Okay. In the real time scenario, in the real time, we are using only two timer, constant timer and uniform timer. 99% we are using only this timer. Right. Rarely in some of the scenario we are also using this one, but 99% we are using only this two timer, that is constant timer and the uniform random timer. These two timer are very important. Okay, there are few of the timer also like Gaussian random timer, right? Synchronization timer, built-in timer, but they are 1% they are using in the real time actually. 1 to 5%. Rarely we are using this thing. Okay, let's try to understand. Uniform random timer. What basically it means actually. Okay. I'm adding this uniform random timer inside the open Jetpack store request. Okay. Now, here you can see we have three fields: thread delay property, random delay maximum in millisecond, and constant delay offset. Two fields we have: random delay and constant delay. Okay, let's try to do it, and after that I will explain you. Here you can see this thing is clear. Uniform random delay. So uniform random timer means is used to delay each request for a random period of time. Okay, so guys, in the real time, what happened? We don't know the time gap between the request. Sometimes it is 1 second. So tell me guys, when I hitting this URL, you get the response in 1 second also, 2 second also, in through 3 second also. When I click on this sign in, you will get the response in 1 second also, 4 second also, 3 second also. So there is constant time, like in this time you will definitely get the result. No, it depends on the server response, right? Depends on the server. Agree or not?
Yes.
Right. So we are not, this is not fixed. If I click on the sign in, your sign in page will get displayed in 2 seconds or 3 seconds. This is not fixed. This is not fixed. right? So we have to create a scenario like that, like when I click on the sign in, right, it will take 1 second or 2 seconds. We don't know the exact timing, right? 1 second, 2 second, but we have the maximum time set. Within 10 seconds you want to set, or within 6 seconds you want to display the data. Okay, so random time means uniform random timer means we can put the delay, random delay between the request. Random delay between the request. Okay, you can see the three option here. Two option: random delay maximum and constant delay offset. Okay, so what exactly means? What exactly means? Here you can see the number which user provide here is the maximum number which can be added to the constant delay offset. Okay, if I pass here 100, then if I pass 100, then up to 100 millisecond you want to put the time gap. Maximum you can put 100 millisecond. Whatever the delay time you will put here, it will consider as a maximum. Okay, and constant delay, it is like additional time gap, additional, and which should be maximum 100. I can't put it here more than 100. It is below than 100 we have to put. Below than 100. Okay, so the total time gap, how we are calculating total time gap? So the formula of total time gap is total random time gap. Total random time gap is, the formula is 0.x plus 0.x plus random delay time gap. Random delay maximum time and the constant delay maximum time. Okay, let's suppose if I put here 3000 millisecond, 3000 millisecond, and constant delay offset time is 0, right? Then what would be the value? The total time gap. So x means 0 to 9 value. 0 to 9, this x, right? 0 to 9, right? And this 0 to 9 value we are not taking. This is decided by the performance testing at the run time. Okay, sometime it will take 2, sometime it will take 3, sometime it will take 4. Between 0 to 9 it will take the x value. Okay, so let's try to calculate 0.2. X value is, let's suppose 2 this time. Okay, 0.2 plus I set the random time delay maximum is 3000 millisecond, that is 3 millisecond, right? I will add it here 3000. Okay, and plus constant delay offset, so plus 0, right? Now guys, tell me the value of this. What is the value? 3000.2, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the time gap between for this request is within the, you know, in sorry, the time gap for this request is within the 3 second. Actually 3000 millisecond means 3 seconds. Okay, so if I put here 3000 and let's try to run. Okay, so run. Can you see 0, 2, 3 and then it will display response? Can you see it here, guys? Okay, let
Yes, we
me
can see.
put the 6 here. Put the 6. Now, if I put the 6, now this value, let's suppose this time the we don't know the exact value. This is decided by the J meter at the run time. I'm just assuming, but value should be 0 to 9, but that is negligible because in the decimal, right? Right, guys?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right. So we
It
can
is,
neglect this thing also.
what is 0.5?
Actually, this is the formula to calculate the time gap, total time gap, the maximum
And
time gap.
and 0.5,
And
what's this?
0.5 is the formula like J meter is taking at the run time. X means 0 to 9 value it will take. Okay, so we don't know X value, but it is between 0 to 9.
Okay.
Okay, sometime it will take 1, then you have to put to 1. Sometime it will take 2, then 2. Sometime it will take 0.9. So it will take 9, but it is negligible value. You, if you add this thing, doesn't make the major difference, right, guys? Because it is in the decimal. If it is in the not in the decimal, then it will the major difference, right?
Yes.
Then it will the difference, but it is in the decimal. Okay, so I put the time gap here 6000 and 100 here, the constant delay offset. Constant delay offset is 100. Okay, if I add this thing here 100 and here as a 6000, now guys tell me the total value. Total value is so what is the total value? 0.9 plus 6000 plus 100. So that is this one, right? So I will go here and 666.9. So the maximum delay time gap is this one. Okay, within this second actually. Okay, so I have added here, right? And let me execute this thing. You can see 3, 4. You can see in 4 seconds you can get within the 6 second. Right? Right? Now what I'm doing here, I'm moving this uniform random at the folder level, at the controller level. Now guys, you guys tell me what would be the difference if I add it here. Now this time gap would be applicable for all. Right, guys?
Yes.
Right, and it will be the random time gap for some for this one it will be might be 4 second, for this one 2 second, for this one 6 second, or for this one even 1 second. So this is the random time gap because this value will be this is the formula, right? So the maximum would be this, and within this time gap you will get the the time gap will be set. Okay, so if I run this thing, clear and run, overwrite, and you can see it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get the response, right? No other one. You can get in in 1 or 2 seconds. You can get the data. So you can get you can see it here. The first one is 35, and the second one you get in the fraction of millisecond. Okay, so that the random uniform random timer means you can put the time gap between each request for a random period of time. For a random period of time, right? And this is the formula to calculate the random period of time. Okay, now we are moving to the Gaussian random timer, right? So this is, we are not using majorly, but let's try to understand. Okay, so this and a constant timer we are using in the real time, and uniform timer. So when we are using uniform random timer, guys, in which case you want to put uniform random timer?
You want the results uniformly within a particular time.
If you want to put the delay between each request for a random period of time, right? Here what we are doing, we are putting the delay constant time. Every request we have the constant time, right? Let's suppose if you are hitting this URL and then I have to click on the sign in, I have to wait 2 seconds. After then I can click on the sign in. If I click on the register, I have to wait for the 2 seconds, then I have to click on the register. But in the random uniform time, what happened? If I click on the sign in, right, either you can wait 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. This is not decided, but we have maximum time. Maximum time is, let's suppose, based on the formula. Within that particular time, the random time will decide it, either 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. So I click on the sign in 2 second, then I click on the register in 6 second. There is random timing, not the fixed time gap delay. Agree?
Yes, Vikash. But for me the doubt is, if in case we provided the uniform random timer, means till that time it'll wait. But if in case exceeding to that time, then means will it throw any kind of
No,
exceptions or?
what happened? What happened, sir? What happened? Let's suppose we have request one, request one, request two, request two, request three. Okay, we have 3 requests, and we put the uniform random time as per the formula. It is 6. This is the maximum time gap, right? This is the 6. So what happened, the first user, the first user will wait within the 6, and either 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second. That is decided by the G meter, but which is within this second. Okay, so they will hit the request. Right, now you will get the error message. That is not part of concern here. Okay, so he will hit this request at 1 second time gap. Now whatever the result we are getting, let's suppose you are getting some error from the server, right? You are getting some error. Let's suppose Rahul hit the request at after 2 seconds, after 2 seconds, and request one connected with the server, and server is taking lot of time, like 10 second, 20 second. Is there is any issue in the server, right? So what happened, after when you get the response from the server, then again the Rahul wait for the this time. Let's suppose he will wait for the 3 seconds. After getting the first response, he will again wait for the 3 second, 2 second, then this particular request will hit. Clear?
Yeah, so it's like it look like the implicit wait in Selenium, right?
Yeah, You can
That
say.
means, totally that is the wait time, 6.9 seconds
Yeah,
between all the requests.
not between all the requests. Within this time, like first request will get hit, second request will get hit, third request will get hit. Let's suppose at the run time they decided 2 seconds, but not more than this time.
But if there are say 10 requests, then again everything will happen within the 6.9 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. You can't calculate this thing as a total, whole request total. This is not whole request, right? Time gap. This is the individually.
Okay, got it. I was let's say confused there. Yeah.
It is individually for each request. Okay.
And this is also the time gap before the request, right? Before the
Yeah,
request,
before the request.
as it was
But
for
what is
constant time.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
Because though you are adding it in,
what is the difference? Means this is also 6 and the constant is also 6. So if
But in the constant, we know we have to wait for this particular time. But here we don't know. Either it could be 1 second, either it could be 2 seconds, either it could be 6 seconds. We can see the clearly difference here.
And Vikash, so in totally from 3 requests, we have 6 seconds. Totally.
Sorry.
We have in the random time, you put 6 seconds now, okay?
Yeah, 6 seconds based on the calculation formula.
So this 6 seconds is for all requests.
No, for each request. Each request.
For each. Excuse me. For each request.
For
Yes,
each
excuse
request.
me.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have 4 requests. For example, so I have opened the Jet store, click on sign, enter the credential and home page. I have 4 requests, and in the view the results table, I have in totally 24 seconds. So if I have 6 seconds for each request, 6 multiplication with 4.
No. That's not, sir. So it is the maximum for one user. Either it will be 1 second also, it will be 2 seconds also, it will be 4 seconds also. We don't know, but within this time, it will hit this particular request. We don't know the exactly second, but not exceed this time. It will be within this time. For second request, it might be 6 seconds or it might be 5 seconds, right? It is not constant delay here. In constant delay, it will be wait for 6 seconds, then it will connect. But here, we don't know the time, right? But we know the maximum time.
The maximum. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we are
because
moving to
one small
Yeah,
doubt.
ma'am.
This uniform random timer can be added only as a controller level, not for each
No.
request, right?
Not for it is you can add for so before that I have added at the request level actually. Okay. After then I have moved this thing as a controller level. You can add same as it is, which I have explained you for the constant timer. You can also add at controller level, each request level, and thread group level.
Okay.
So at which level you will apply, it will applicable for all. If you add this random timer at the controller level, then it will applicable for all the request, right?
Okay.
If you are adding this random timer at the thread group level, then whatever the request added inside the thread group, it will applicable for all. If you are added individually, then it will apply individually.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Akash.
Now let me disable this thing and go and add the another timer that is Gaussian random timer. So I will go here timer and the Gaussian. Yeah, here you can see. Okay, deviation and you can see deviation and constant delay offset. What exactly means of this time is, this time means if you pass 100 here, if you pass 100 and constant delay offset is 300, that means The formula is, guys, you can mute. The formula is your constant delay offset minus deviation. What is the constant delay value? 300. Let's suppose we have put, and deviation value is 100. So it is 200. Constant delay offset minus deviation. So it is 200. Constant delay offset plus deviation. So 300 plus 100, total 400. So that means your request will, your time gap between each request is between 200 to 400 millisecond. Right, let's suppose if I am adding the constant random timer, I am putting the deviation as a 2000 millisecond and this thing as a 3000 offset value. So what is the formula then? Then 3000 minus 2000 is equal to 1000 millisecond. All right, and 3000 plus 2000 is equal to 5000, right? Then 5000 millisecond. So the delay time gap between each request is between 1000 to 5000. Between 1000 to 5000, right? So let me, so between 1000 to 5000 means between 1 second to 5 second. The time gap between each request is 1 second to 5 second. Minimum is 1 second, maximum is 5 second. Okay, let's try to run. So clear this thing and run. Yeah, you can see within 5 seconds your data get displayed. You can see. Okay, but this thing we are not using in the real time actually. So majorly we are using uniform random controller and constant timer. So I have explained you for the knowledge perspective, right? If you come anything like that, like you have where you have to set the minimum time and the maximum time, then based on the formula you can set it here. Right, and same situation, it will applicable for all. If you add at the controller level, if you add it individually, then it will individually apply. If you add it at the thread level, then it will apply at the thread level. Okay, now we have one more timer, that is bin sale timer. That is also we are not using in the real time. Rarely we are using. Even I have not used. So go to the timer and here you can see bin sale timer. Bin sale timer. So here you have to for this timer we have the setting, we have the component and we have to just simply pass the value. But for the bin sale timer you have to write the code. You have to write the bin sale code, the scripting code. You have to write it here. When I will explain you this particular topic, bin sale, right, at that time I will explain you, because for that we have to know the coding, we have to know the scripting. Okay, so at that particular class I will explain you how you can add this particular timer. Okay, now the same thing, whatever we have did here, constant timer and uniform timer, using the code we can do the same thing. But using the code, using the scripting language, you can do this, we can achieve the same thing, but using the scripting. Here we have simply passed the value, here we have to write the code. Okay, and there is one more timer, synchronization timer. Here you can see synchronizing timer. Okay, click on the synchronizing timer. Let me disable this timer, synchronizing timer. Here you can see synchronizer timer name and the number of simulated user to be grouped by and the time in millisecond. Okay, let's try to understand this feature. So this is the last one, and after then we can end this class. Okay, so this means if I am passing here 2, users group is 2, and the time gap is, let's suppose, 9,000 millisecond, that is 9 millisecond. Okay, and here I am passing 20. Okay, number of user is 20, and try to concentrate here. View result tree, and let me run this thing. What did you notice, guys? All the requests hit frequently hit it. All the requests get hit frequently. Can you see it here? So what that means, let's try to understand. Synchronizing timer is different from the other timers, okay, which we have gone through till now. It has only one parameter, that is number of simulated user to be grouped by. Okay, the number provided in this parameter will be the number of thread. It will wait for the grouping and release. I will explain you what it basically. Okay, for example, in case you have 30, in case 30 is the number provided in the parameter, number of simulator is used, and number of thread is 60, and the group is 2, and number of thread is 30. Let's suppose here I have passed 20, and here I have passed 2. So this 20 will create two group. Here you can see. If I go here, give me a second. 20. Give me a second. So 20 request will hit it. This one is 20, right? Where I have used 20 users I have hit it, right? Synchronization is 20. Give me a second. Somewhere we are doing the mistake actually. Let me check. What exactly means. Number of first, third, fourth, fifth, 7, 8, 9, 10. To second user it is. Okay, 20 users are hitting. 20 user will hit. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. So what I will do here, I will pass this thing as a 1 and synchronizing as a 10. Actually, I am not using in the real time. That's why I forget this scenario. And let's try to run. If you're not using anything in the real time, now you can see it will wait for the 9 second, and it will wait for the second user is there. Guys, you have to tell me what difference you can see it here. Please notice this time and the users here. I will ask this thing at the end of the execution, what you have noticed here. Okay, so synchronizing group is 10. And the number of user is 10. Then what is the purpose to putting the number of user here? Something we are doing very wrong. Let me save this thing. Pass the number of thread as a 6, and let me try to run only one scenario: disable, 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 and let's try to run. 6 scenario get executed. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. But what is the difference? I forget, man. Give me a second. 6. Number of thread is 6 here. Okay, so 6 users are there. 6 users are there. And what it exactly say? In case 30 user is provided in the parameter, and number of thread is 60. Okay, let me try to create this thing. What I will do, are you there guys? Okay, so 30 is there. If you not use anything in the real time, then you will forget that thing. 30 here, and in the document what it mentioned, 30 here, and number of thread is 60. Number of thread is 60. Let me pass 60. Okay, synchronization is this one, and number of thread is this one. Now what exactly it is? In that case, 2 group and 30 thread. Okay, it's dividing the things. 2 group, 30 thread. Okay, let's try to run this thing, and let's see what happen. And run. "60 requests are there, and total 60s are there." Something we can't see actually. Okay, anyway guys, we can actually what happening, it's dividing into the group actually. Okay, so the one group and the second group, and it's hitting the server at a given time. Okay, so that we will discuss. I have to actually look into that, how in the real time we are using this concept, because from last uh, because something, if you are not doing regularly, you will forget that concept. Okay, so I have to look into that. Okay, so basically in the synchronizing timing is used to release the number of thread at a given point, something like that it behave actually. So I have to exactly look at this behavior actually. I can't pass you the wrong information,
There
so
is
I
some
will look into that.
deviation also at the bottom. You can tell us about that also. A
So
deviation
what,
is
sorry?
deviation in red. If you see 551 or something is there. So if you can explain what this is, yeah.
Deviation. Okay, that I will also explain you. Deviation, what exactly deviation means, why it is
Yeah,
in the red color, and what exactly means. Okay,
yeah. Okay, sure.
so here where also you can see. Yeah. Okay. Any question, guys? So in the coming class, I will discuss the one timer that is pending from my side, because I am not frequently using this timer. I have majorly using random timer and the constant timer, which is, I told you, 99% we are using in the real time actually. The other timer we are not using actually. So if you not use anything, then you will also forget the concept. Okay, so that I will look into that, how it's basically behaving, right? After then we will look into the very important stuff, pre-processor and post-processor. which is very, very important, right? Pre-processor and the post-processor, both the concept, right? After discussing these two things, after then we will discuss the HTTP request, okay? And then we will try to create the scenario, and we will try to, apply the load on the server. After then we can discuss the maximum element, and then we can create the scenario. So I would recommend go through all the element, because when I create the scenario, at that time I will not explain clearly. I am saying you, at that time I will not explain you. When I create the scenario, I will not explain you the component, because the component I have already spent lot of time. Okay, so I will not repeat the same thing in the when I create the scenario, when I create the designing stuff, when we apply the load. So that's why I'm asking you, please start doing the practice and try to understand the component. I will directly go and add the component. I will not go into the deep what exactly it behave, right? So please go through all the component. Yeah, the component which I have not explained, that I will explain you in detail, but which I have already explained you, that I will not explain you when I apply the load, when we create the scenario. Clear? That's why I'm asking you, please do the practice. Okay, so guys, if any of your friend interested in the performance testing class, then I will demo class will be on 14th August or 15th August at 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. morning time IST. So please let me know. Okay, so he or she can attend that demo class. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you. If you have any question, then let me know.
That will be weekend class,
Just one small
Vikas.
question.
Yeah,
Testing.
Monday to, sorry, Saturday, Sunday only. Saturday, Sunday.
Timings will be
9:30.
9:30 to 11:30.
Yeah, 9:30 to 11:30. But after some of days, some of the weeks, I will switch that time to this time, to your current time, when your batch will get finished. So I will move that batch to this time, 12 to 2 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
Vikash, one small question here. Actually, this timer concept you explained, right? In real time, how this is actually used to track our scenarios? I mean, based on our timer, do we really calculate our scenarios are met and we report if there is any bug or something like that?
No,
I
no.
mean, do we?
What happened in the real time actually? You are not. What I explained you, like if you are trying to book the make my trip, right? So in the performance testing, generally we are trying to create the same scenario which user are doing in the real time. Okay, so let's suppose you are trying to book the flight. You are trying to book the flight, and you are going to here and selecting the book now. So there is the time gap between each request. So the user will not do all the action in 1 second or 2 seconds. Can user is doing?
No, no.
If you tell me, if you want to book the flight ticket, how many minutes you are taking? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Right? So to create the scenario like that, to put the time gap between each request, in that case we are using the timer. Okay, so when you get the requirement, right? So you have to discuss this thing with the client, with your client or product owner, like this is the scenario and what time gap you want to put between each request. So they will ask you that you can put the constant time as a 5 second, 6 second, like that you can put it. Okay, and something you can see in the real time, somewhere it's taking more time, right? Like more than 10 seconds it's taking, like to download the any application or any action which are taking more time, like 10 second or at least 10 second it's taking. So in that case, for that scenario, for that request, we are adding the timer as a 10 second. because in the real time it's taking 10 seconds. So that's why we are also putting the 10 second, so that we can create the similar scenario in the performance testing as well.
Yes, because the thing is, I'm trying to understand if some time is elapsing, right? For the server response on given time is elapsing, will we get some thing like error message and all? Because in
Yeah.
UI,
So
yeah,
let's
that's
suppose
what I'm.
you hit the flight, right? So when you hit the flight, you are getting some error message
Yes,
at this
yes.
page, like a page not found or service not available, something you are getting the error message, right? So
Okay.
what happened, you are getting the error message. So each each call having the separate request. We have for the flight, we have the separate request. To click on the search, we have the separate request. To book the flight, we have the separate request, right? So when you get the error message, right, so in the coding you have to add the assertion that if you get the error message, if you want to hit the further request, then you can hit. If you want to stop your execution, then you can stop, right? If you go here in the thread group, here you can see, let's suppose we have added 4 requests. Here you can see 4 requests we have added. Open
Yes.
Jetpack Store, click on sign in, enter the credential and the home page. And you are asking that when I click on the open Jetpack Store, it is working. When I click on the sign in, you are getting the error page, right? And
Yeah.
you don't want to continue the scenario, you don't want to continue the execution, right? So it's up to you, you want to continue or not, or you want to quit, right? So you
Oh,
can see it here, we have different options are there, which I have not explained you. Okay, so if you want to continue, when you get the error, you can select the continue radio button, right? And you want to stop the test, if you get any error, then stop the test, right? If you want to stop the thread, if you want to stop the thread, means that particular thread you want to stop, you can stop. If you want to instantly stop, then we have different option. If you want to continue, then continue. You want to stop, then you can stop. If you want to stop that particular thread, in which thread, let's suppose we have added 10 thread, right? For the first thread it is working, for the second thread it is working, for the third thread at the sign-in level you get the error message, right? And you don't want to continue for the third thread, right? So in that case you have to select the option start next thread loop. If you want to stop the execution for all the thread, then you have to select this radio button. Any of the execution, let's suppose in the 10, the third one will get the error message in sign in, then it will, your execution will get stopped if you select this radio button. If you select this radio button, start next thread group. So what happened? It will quit the third group and it will start from the fourth. The fourth user will start from the first. Okay, ma'am?
okay. Okay.
We can discuss this thing. Okay, this thing is
Yes.
pending actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe you can show us some inference how using it.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
be okay.
That I currently have explained you the theoretically, but I will explain you the
Yeah. Yeah.
practically how it works. Okay.
Yes.
No worries. Because I want to first, when you get some idea and when you try to learn some advanced thing, then you will easily understand that thing. And if you, along with the basic thing, if you try to learn advanced thing and if your basic things are not clear, then both the things are waste. Okay, so first we will try to clear our base, right? After then we can move further and try to apply more and more scenario. Okay, for that we have to clear the base. After then you can apply the advanced scenario.
Yes.
Okay, clear.
Yes,
Okay,
Vikas,
guys,
thank you.
thank you. We can meet on next Saturday, Sunday in the same time. Please do the practice. And today, end of the day, I will share the document. You can go through the document. You can do the practice. Okay, and I will start the new batch on the demo classes 14 or 15. If any of your friend want to attend, then please let me know. Okay, thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you.